Guys, I want to talk today about building resilience, overcoming obstacles. You hear this stuff a lot from me. Maybe it's just my nature, but when I talk about resilience, I say, okay, what kind of person is resilient? Well, somebody that's adaptable, right? Somebody that's willing to change. Somebody that's willing to not give up, right? That just doesn't throw in the towel when things get tough, Somebody that's optimistic. They persevere. Got a positive attitude, pretty much. They're resilient, okay? But those kind of people have obstacles too. Everybody's got them. Every one of you guys that I'm talking to today has got something going on in your life that you can very quickly go to that you're like, hey, if I could change one thing, it would be this, right? So how do you keep going? You guys know, recently I've been diagnosed with sleep apnea and central sleep apnea and obstructive sleep apnea, you name it, I've got it. And I'm like, how did that happen, right? I was just over here minding my own business. And all of a sudden now I'm not sleeping. And so that's stressful. How did that happen? Well, probably from stress, maybe from being an entrepreneur, running a business, cash flow, employees, all the things that come with the sizzle of, I own my own business. Well, it's great. Like I always say, you get to choose which 80 hours a week you work when you're an entrepreneur. And you guys know that if you own your own business. But it can be stressful. And there can be some times when you have these real moments of truth where you're like, maybe it'd just be easier to just punch a time clock and go home at 4 o'clock. But then you have to ask yourself, would I be letting myself down? Would I be checking in my own dreams if I did that? Guys, I've done it both ways. I've worked for somebody. I've had my own business. I've done switch back and forth a couple of times. And I can tell you that I'm the most fulfilled even in the bad times of my business, when I'm being more resilient, when I'm calling the shots, when I'm doing the thing and following my heart and being where I want to be and doing my thing. They always say you got to give it 100%. Give it 110%. Maybe on your bad days you've only got 90, but you got to give it the 90. And you've all heard, hey, grind. You got to get through the grind. You got to embrace the suck, all that stuff. Yeah, I believe that to a degree, but it really shouldn't always be a grind. You should have a couple of days in there where you can take a breath and get a little bit of oxygen. It's this sleep thing for me, I've struggled through it. I'm like, hey, I know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Unfortunately, right now it's a train, and we're working through it. And I'm, some of the strategies that I'm having to put to use are just leaning on friends, leaning on family. Everybody's checking in. Hey, how you doing? I just sleep last night. Terrible. How's the mask feel? All of that stuff. Calling the doc, talking to the sleep people, and it's a pain in the ass. But I'm not giving up, because I really take a lot from the fact that I've kind of done a lot of things in the last 6 months, even with kind of one foot in the ditch. So I say to myself, damn, I'm going to be a savage when I get this figured out. Okay, so that's how I keep going. And I'm like, geez, I don't feel good today. I feel like I could just lay on the couch and sleep. And yeah, it's not good. But it's made me have a high level of self-awareness, all right? And I reflect a lot. And I'm like, okay, yeah, normally today I might go for a 4 or 5 mile run, but it's going to be a walk today, and that's okay. I've adjusted some of my physical goals down to, hey, let's get 10,000 steps in, right? Not 5 miles or 50 miles on the bike. That's not me right now, and that's okay. It's not a failure, right? I set goals all the time, right? Might have 10 goals, 10 things I want to get done. Maybe I only got 8 of them done. Is that a failure? No. I say I'm batting 800, right? So, guys, just take some time to think about where you're at. Have some perspective on whether you're being resilient or not. Am I being true to myself? Am I giving 110%? And again, I'm not saying grind and pound yourself into oblivion just because, that's like socially acceptable now. And you're like, well, hey, I work 120 hours a week and I do this and I do that, and you wear it as a badge of honor. But you can't string 2 sentences together because you're exhausted. You can't go out to dinner with your wife or spend time with your kids on the weekend because you can't see straight. And maybe you're drinking more than you should, or maybe you haven't quit smoking, or you're turning to those things that get you through the day, whether it's the energy drinks or 14 cups of coffee or whatever, you know. Guys, we've survived 100% of our toughest days. Be resilient. I always say you got to do hard things, right? So get out there and do the hard things. Wear that as a badge of honor, okay? Not, hey, I worked 120 hours this week and took 3 years off my life, all right? Be resilient. Be willing to change, all right? Be accountable to yourself. Honor your commitments to yourself. And just go out and do hard things, guys. Thanks.